a couple of you, more than a couple actually, have had some emails and also phone calls about being interrupted during the daytime hours at work on mobile and being asked questions. It's a telephone survey currently being conducted by the Dubbo Regional Council. And the mayor and the man of the moment is Matthew Dickerson. Morning, Matthew.
Yeah, good morning, Richard.
Interesting story about the cables for the electric cars. You had yours stolen?
No, and it's interesting, for example, with the Tesla cables at the Western Plains Cultural Centre, they're not owned by the user, they're owned by Tesla. So someone could steal them anytime. They don't need a car plugged in. They could just go along and cut that cable off now while they're sitting there.
We're giving handy tips for the quick thief. Is that right?
That's it.
There it is. Are they that expensive, the cables? If you go over, do you carry one in your boot?
I carry one in my frunk, actually, not my boot. I carry mine in my frunk.
Yeah. Okay, so you carry it like you have a VW. I didn't buy a VW because I didn't think they had an engine.
Yeah, that's right. They forgot to put it in. They threw it in the boot on the way out the door. So you carry it around your frunk, and it's only the cable that you carry with you is only very small, so they wouldn't be worth much, and the copper in them wouldn't be much. It's more at the charging stations where they're putting higher charge in. There'd be more copper, and that's where they'd be worth a bit more.
Word of warning, though, isn't it? Certainly, I didn't think of that sort of thing. It's 10 to 9. Yeah, Matthew Dickerson, I have had calls from usually seniors. They're concerned about this telephone survey. Is it legit?
Well, this is the thing. It is legit, but what's to stop some scammers out there pretending to be from council, representing council?
Yeah.
So there is a survey that's being conducted at the moment. It's called the Community Needs Survey. We need to get a legitimate sample space or sample size. We need to get about 600 people from a range of demographics to actually complete the survey so that we've got good data going forward from council. So I am encouraging people, if they get the phone call, to actually go through and complete the survey. It's about 15 minutes.
That's all very noble, but how do I know it's not a scammer?
And that's the problem. So when someone rings, if they start asking you for things like your bank account, your date of birth, details that you don't need to give, they might want to know your age range. That's fine because we need that for our demographics. So are you in the 49 to 59 age category, for example? That's an okay question. If they say, please give me your date of birth, including your year, then that's when you should have some alarm bells going off. If they say, give me your full name, no, we don't need your full name. So just have a think about the data we need. We need people to answer the questions about our services, about interactions with council, about the visions for the future, but we don't need bank accounts, date of births, full name for that survey to be part of that survey. So,
what about addresses?
No, we don't need your address. We need to know what area. So, for example, we're interviewing people in Wellington and in Dubbo, so we need to know the general area of where you live. But no, I don't need to know the exact street name and street number where you're living. So, yes, we're out there surveying. I can understand there might be some scammers out there who say, oh, now's the time to go and get those residents in Dubbo and Wellington because they are being surveyed, so now I can scam them. So that's a problem. And I can understand that a lot of people will just hang up on a survey because they think this is just another scam. Oh my gosh, I get 20 of these a day. I'm so sick of them. But if they do get one and it does sound like it's a Dubbo Regional Council survey, then I would encourage residents to take the 15 minutes out of their day, answer the questions, and then we get that good feedback. If people are really keen to be part of the survey, they can also go online to the Dubbo Council website and actually just do the survey there.
Matthew, does the caller identify him or herself?
Yeah, the caller should identify where they're from, they should identify their name, the survey company they should identify, but they should really be identifying they're from Dubbo Regional Council. But having said that, Richard, there's nothing stopping me being Joe Blogg scammer, pretending to be, like we get all these other phone calls where they say they're from Amazon or they're from eBay or from Telstra. They're obviously not from those organisations. They're just pretending to be, hoping that we'll then trust them because they've mentioned an organisation that we know.
All right, so the flags get waved when they ask you really personal stuff, money, income. What about the number of kids you've got, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, some of those questions they will ask, but again, when it comes down to your specific details, so asking how many kids you've got is okay. There's no real flag there to say that you can steal someone's identity from how many children you've got. But again, when you start asking those specific questions about your exact name, your date of birth, because identity theft is a big issue, Richard. This happens, and when you get your credit card details stolen, that's annoying. The bank normally gives you back your money and you get a new credit card. You get your identity stolen, your name and your date of birth used in some credit process, some credit fraud, it's very hard to get your name back. You can't just go and get a new name and a new date of birth. So identity theft is a big issue. When people start asking your full name and dates of birth, that's when I become very suspicious.
Yeah, okay, and you go on a Scam Watch and report all that. How long is the survey? Oh, before I get it, hang on. Where do you get the numbers from? There's a question I just had.
The numbers, as in the numbers that we phone people from?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there are databases out there that you can buy the numbers from. We don't, as in council doesn't use that information. There's a third-party company. We don't use any council information in that. So all the details that we store on council about our residents, we don't give them that information. The privacy that we act under doesn't allow us to do that. So these companies go and buy third-party information, because one of the issues we had, and this is going back a few years, Richard, it became difficult to get to our 600 and a good cross-section of our community because they were ringing landlines, and lots of people are disconnecting their landlines now. So we had to have some way of accessing mobiles, and the only way we could do that is for companies that we were using to go and buy third-party databases of people's names and phone numbers in the area.
All right, so it's random call?
Random call, that's exactly right.
Okay. So they don't go to the name and say, oh, that's an interesting name, I'll ring that person. It's not that selective.
They don't go and look on Facebook and go, oh, this person gave negative comments or positive comments, I'll go and make sure I ring that person. Okay. It is literally a random selection.
How long is the survey on for, Matt?
It's meant to be all done within 2 weeks, so it's already been going now for a little bit over a week, so it's meant to be done fairly shortly. But again, we need that magical number of 600. If we get more than that, that's great, but we need that magical number of 600 to make it a statistically valid survey.
Okay, and then the results, what happens? What do you correlate?
So that's a really interesting part. I find that fascinating. When I've looked through previous surveys, there's a whole range of information that's put together then. That's given back to councillors. We then feed that out to the public. But more importantly, we go through and analyse that and see what we're getting right, what we're getting wrong, how we can improve things, what do people want in the community. It actually changes our forward planning, because we might find out that people are more interested in playgrounds and roads, or we might find that they want more theatre and maybe less sporting fields, or whatever it might be. But that information that...
What about a fountain in the park? Can we get that?
Well, if the survey shows, then
so be it. Can we have a duck pond?
Well, I talked to the men shed yesterday, and that was one of the first questions I asked. What's happening with the duck pond? And I said, well, I've got to find out. That's one of the things I've got to chase up, because at the moment it doesn't look that attractive.
Look, ducks are nice for dinner. All right, so the flags do go up if they start asking you bank stuff, the usual scam thing. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, that's right. And so often we're talking, Richard, about saying be aware of these scams. And I still say be aware of these scams, but if it sounds like it's legitimate and it's from council, then please participate.
All right, and we'll look forward to the results of all that. The man of the moment, our man, Matthew Dickerson, we will talk, but look out, the survey's got another week to run, and it'll be interesting to get the results out of that. Thanks for your time this morning, Matty. I hope you cleared that up, and we're now acting in a sigh of relief. Legit, that's what we want. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Richard.